away we go. Welcome to it. It's Chicken Dinner Live, powered by Odds Logic. Sam Panianovich on social at SP Shoot. What a weekend. Actually, what a 4-day weekend for those that follow this show. Saquon Barkley, Offensive Player of the Year on Thursday night, and the Eagles putting the exclamation point on the season with an ass whooping of the Kansas City Chiefs. Welcome to it. We're going to talk a little bit about the Super Bowl, including the sweat of a lifetime on Noah Gray unders. Everybody's having a great time. Had people over at the house watching the game, convinced everybody to bet the Eagles. And late in the fourth quarter, I'm the only one with eyeballs on the TV because, of course, I have thousands of dollars on Noah Gray, under yards, under catches. He's out there, too, because the Chiefs are clearly trying to throw their way back, maybe not into the game, but to make it a more compelling finish. I mean, that was the 85 Bears over the Patriots all over again. Same city, dominant defense. The other team couldn't move the ball. Best player didn't score a touchdown. Saquon Barkley, Walter Payton. Everybody's having a great time now. And people are asking, like, why are you so wired? Why are you so nervous? Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. And Noah Gray's still out there because they're passing the ball all over the field. But it was a very good Super Bowl, and those of you that bet Eagles and Barkley, very, very happy. And the best part about this show is when we make a bet in the summer on a guy that's 25 or 30 to 1, depending on what price you bet, people sending tickets that Thursday night. I went out here in Boston, obviously celebrated, drank a bunch of Jameson, and people are sending tickets all night. They're tweeting them, they're texting them, they're DMing them. To have somebody send you a ticket for $100 to win $2,500 or $200 to win 6 dimes. That's the best. That's even better than me winning, to see you winning and us winning. And that was a hell of a ride by Barkley. And truth be told, I remember being in Vegas. I went early August and late August. We also went back with the BetMGM network. Myself, Nick Costos went out there. Femi went out there. And it was really something because I was walking around town. And I go to the Westgate, go to the Circa, South Point, Golden Nugget, check all the sheets with all the prices. And the only reason I bet Barkley was the price. At 25, 30 to 1. Westgate actually was the first place I bet it. And they had a 20. I'm like, that's not right. Bang, bet that. Then I get to Circa and it's 25. So you start seeing all these numbers. But I would have never bet him if he was 10 to 1, 12 to 1. I got lucky in the sense that the number was way too big. But if Saquon Barkley was 7, 8, 9, 10 to 1, I would have never bet that shit. You also understand when you bet futures, whether it be a team to win a conference or a title or a tournament or an award, you need luck. There's a lot of things that have to go your way. And I actually have a list of the prices on these guys coming into the season. So Christian McCaffrey, 6 to 1, gets hurt. Tyreek Hill, 7 to 1, quarterback gets murdered again. CeeDee Lamb, 10 to 1, gets hurt. Justin Jefferson, very good player, but didn't have the numbers. Jamar Chase, 12 to 1. Unbelievable season. Team sucked. Breece Hall, 15 to 1. All of those dominoes had to go sideways to open up for Saquon Barkley, who also had shorter yards than St. Brown and Bijan Robinson. I assure you, though, going into next season, if I'm rolling around Vegas in August like I always do, Saquon will not be 25 to 1. Also, one more thing on the Super Bowl. And actually, we're going to talk more about this after we talk college baseball with the guys from College Baseball Insiders, Grissom and Q. Corbie Craig, who comes on this show all the time, laid down tens of thousands of dollars on the halftime show. And it's a skill to not only get the information, but to get down. That's not just one book, obviously. I mean, that's paperheads, that's exchanges, that's local guys, that's all that shit. You got the information, you got the bets in. Now it's the hard part, getting paid. And there are some books, and I have a couple of these books. Like if you have an Ace account, I logged into Ace on Monday, and the first thing you see when you get up and log in is that GNX halftime show, first song, 5 to 1, will not be paid. Okay. And the text you get or the message that you see says insider trading. Don't take the bets then. If you're going to cry wolf the Monday after the Super Bowl on people knew what was going to happen, don't take the bets. Because I'll tell you what, when it comes to the national anthem and the halftime show, everybody knows by Saturday or Sunday. If you have a clue of where to look or who to talk to, you have an idea. The rehearsal times, they're all late in the week. And one guy that I was texting with said that they not only didn't pay him, they graded GNX as a loss. These are the fights you fight when you make bets in illegal markets. And it is illegal. You're betting offshore. Technically, it's an illegal market if you live in the United States. Noah Gray, though, he's out there on the bomb to Worthy at the very end of the game when Mahomes rips a perfect throw. It's like a 50-yard touchdown. This is after Sirianni doesn't punt. And Pickett's out there taking a snap. On fourth down, he's throwing an incomplete pass. So it sets the Chiefs up around midfield. And eventually, Mahomes decides, I'm going to get it all on this play. I kid you not. If you go back and watch this play, Noah Gray is wide open in the flat to the left. And if you tailed any of the Noah Gray stuff that we've talked about for 2 weeks, it's 1.5 catches and it's 12.5 yards. He's sitting on 1 catch and 2 yards. There's 2 minutes to go. And again, I'm nervous as all hell because this could be a $5,000 swing. Maybe more. I didn't really plot the whole thing out, but it would have been a brutal swing. He chips and then releases into the flat, and he's fucking wide open. Mahomes looks left. He just dumps it. Gray not only catches the ball, but runs for 30 yards. And I'm thinking, no. And then thankfully, Mahomes just keyed downfield, hit Worthy, touchdown. But that's a lucky break. Same with the first quarter under, 9.5. You know, there was a very real chance that we get a field goal end of the first quarter to make it 7-3. But luckily, you had the penalty near the end of the first quarter that melts the clock, and then the Eagles are able to run the ball and end that first quarter 7-0. But you can make good bets that win and bad bets that lose. It was a very sweaty Super Bowl. Even though the Eagles whooped that ass, I'm still sweating with 2 minutes to go in a blowout because Noah Gray cannot catch a pass. I did want to share something, actually a couple things before we get to our guests. I did make a bet tonight in college hoops, and I don't know if anybody saw this the other day. I do like Gonzaga at the price. They're like 50-1 or higher to win the tournament, and I think that's just insane. But Gonzaga is at home tonight, 842 Gonzaga. I laid 14. I mean, I would still lay 14.5. It'd be silly to think that, you know, this game either is going to win by 25 or by 7. Like, I don't think there's going to be a scenario where you get cooked on the hook. If it happens, I apologize, but I really liked it at minus 14. And this actually got set up because it opened 14.5 and the first bet came down. They bet down and then betted back. I'm trying to remember what time that was in the day, but I was on the air. Yeah, here we go. 10:47 Eastern. They hit this to 13.5. And I thought, I don't care. And then saw it go to 14 in a couple places and said, yep, that's the right side. And then it got to 15. And now it's basically right back where it started at 14.5. But I think this is a brutal spot for San Francisco. So I'm willing to find out there. I do like that. It's a late tip, 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Gonzaga minus 14.5. I really like the side. This is also sad. When you try and click football, no data available on the Odds Logic screen. Womp, womp, womp. Another exciting thing when we get to tomorrow, you're going to see these lines populate. Oh, yeah. On the college baseball board. Here we go. First game, 12 noon, Oklahoma State and Clemson. And this is a market where a lot of the wise guys act fast and destroy these totals. You'll see a game open 11.5, close 10. Open 13, close 11.5. Open 9, close 10.5. Doesn't take much to move a college baseball total. And we'll talk more about that with Grissom and with Quentin in just a few minutes. A couple other orders of business. You might notice the title of this show and the thumbnail of this show are a little bit different. And there's a reason for this. I am not good at YouTube. I never act like I am. And when you're in football, content is king. You're doing content 7 days a week, 6-7 hours a day. And I don't have time to learn YouTube inside a football season. I just don't. So I've studied a lot of YouTube in the last 3 to 4 days. And it turns out my SEO scores, which I didn't even know was a thing, my SEO scores were in the gutter. Basically, content good, SEO bad. So I said, well, how do I fix this? Look at these tools and do these things. So I said, okay. The number one tool said to upgrade a unique thumbnail every show and a unique title every show. Because I was just doing Chicken Dinner Live 017 featuring Joe, Blow, and Tim, whatever. That did not track well with the SEO algorithm, which until somebody tells me, I don't know that. So this week's episode is titled, let's see, Crack the Code of College Baseball Betting. That was an 87 out of 100 in SEO. The only ones that were better were like, win all your money in college baseball. Fuck that. We're not doing that. So I decided crack the code of college baseball betting would be fine. Look at this thumbnail, though, that they decided to generate for me today. Do you believe this shit? Look at this. It's like Richie Rich and Avicii had a baby. What? I had to use it. I don't love it, and I certainly didn't make it. That is allegedly me with a money-colored pair of sunglasses and a dollar bill. The SEO score on that was like a 95. And the chicken dinner thumbnail I was using was a 37. So allegedly, this is going to help me get more eyeballs on the product. I think it's very, very narcissistic to put an image like that on social media. Look at this guy. That's supposed to be me. It looks like I went to Ole Miss and then worked at Goldman Sachs, and now I do drugs every night by myself. That's what that looks like. I don't know. But if it gets more eyeballs on the product, I will take it. I see Grissom in the back cackling. Yeah, so did I. When I saw that, I thought, well, here we go. Chicken Dinner's jumped the shark. He thinks he's some mogul now. It's not my idea. But if this show gets 5 times the views, I guess I'll take it. And the last thing here that we have to talk about is the bartender. This guy closed on a run of all runs in the playoffs. A perfect 0-7 in the playoffs. Capped off with Chiefs to win. Jalen Hurts, no touchdown. He scored the first touchdown of the game. And bartender went purple Gatorade. The Gatorade was yellow. So a very fitting end. He actually had a winning season for the first time in 5 years. But to go 0-7 in the playoffs, and if you faded like you always fade, you got a lot of that money back from the bartender that he made all that money in October and November, but he gave a lot of it back in the NFL playoffs. 0-7, including an 0-3 mark in the Super Bowl. The gift that keeps on giving. And it's so funny, too, because Dotson catches the touchdown and scores. And they go to the monitor, come back from commercial. Actually, the ball is at the 1. And you know what happens from there. They go brotherly shove, and Jalen Hurts is in. So very, very funny that the bartender did what the bartender usually does and pours it all away. Drinks on him. Drinks on him. All right, let me get to my guests here at 7:15 on the East Coast. With the opening day of college baseball tomorrow, let me stop sharing my screen if you're watching on YouTube and X and add the boys from NCAA Insiders, College Baseball Insiders, Matt Grissom and Quentin Mills. Gentlemen, are we ready or are we ready for tomorrow?
We are ready, but I want to see that graphic just one more time.
Okay, yeah.
Who generated that for you?
Do you think I know how to do that? There's no way.
Is that the Grok or whatever, the AI Twitter?
I use this company called vidIQ, which generated it. Yeah, I mean, there it is again if you're watching on YouTube. And I said earlier, it's like Richie Rich fucked Avicii. Like, that's what that guy looks like. I mean, I
can't imagine what they would do for the locks of Matt Grissom.
That's the flow, though, is like something I'm trying to grow there. Did you see how that like instantly popped back? That's hairspray, my friend.
No, if they
Lot of it.
made an image for you, the guy would have an Arkansas logo tattooed on his forehead. That's what the
That's
AI
12
image for
years
you
of
would say.
LA looks used ingrained in those hair follicles.
Yeah. So we got a bunch of games tomorrow. How do you guys handle the opening day of a season where some lines are up right now? I know that DraftKings and MGM have some lines up. The limits are low overnight, and you can't probably get down what you want. But come tomorrow morning, this is going to be the Wild West. You're going to have sharps fighting against sharps. You guys are going to be making bets as well in that mix, and you guys obviously make a lot of money for a lot of people. How does the process begin on a Thursday night heading into the opening day tomorrow?
Well, I think for starters, we don't really know when lines are going to come out. So that's this was kind of a surprise that we're getting lines this early. I think they started popping around 7 p.m. Eastern last night.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of watch and see what happens. The initial lines for me here in Arkansas, they didn't start rolling out till the wee hours of this morning. So things like Clemson, who was minus 110, I think at the open, now it's 135, 132 in random spots. So it's pretty volatile. I think a $50, $100 bet probably moves lines in this sport. So that's kind of how you just have to watch the beginning lines.
How about you, Q?
Yeah, it's the same thing. There's no rhyme or reason. Sometimes they're 7 p.m. yesterday, 2 days before the games, and then sometimes it's about 7 minutes before first pitch. So it kind of makes it tough. You have to be ready for it at all times. You have to think a lot of weekly prep, kind of where you're leaning to begin with. And then you have to kind of react in a calm manner with the lines because maybe they don't match up with what we see. Maybe somebody's beat you, like Matt alluded to, with $100 bet. Now the lines change because it's just so volatile in Vegas for the sport. You got to have self-control, especially opening day. You want to bet the board because it's Christmas and you have to rein, back a little bit and say, okay, is this a smart bet or is this just because I'm excited about baseball tomorrow? So it takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of off-season prep, especially because we don't know what these teams are going to be. Yeah, sure, we see the transfer portals on paper, but we're going on, last year's stats, who showed up and what we think they can be for the first weekend or two. So it makes it a little difficult.
I want to share some of the stuff you can find at collegebaseballinsiders.com. This is a really cool layout that you guys have coming into the season where you can look at the daily schedule and check all the games, get the advanced stats, track the live games. But this is every game, I believe, on the board tomorrow, which is really, really cool for people trying to study for the test that is college baseball. And I know a lot of you are going to be looking for action. You're going to see, oh my God, there's a baseball game on at 1 o'clock Eastern, and you're going to bet it. Well, you should check out what these guys have to say. And this is one of my favorite things I look at every year. This is the college baseball preseason guide, if you're watching along on video, where they rate the pitching, the hitting, the fielding, and then these guys do an individual breakdown of the top 25, with A&M being the number 1 team, Virginia being the 2 team, LSU being the 3 team. So these are just tools that you can find, again, at collegebaseballinsiders.com. And there's a daily schedule, teams, hitters, pitchers, matchup preview. So a really cool thing that you guys have put together. I'm curious, Q, how many hours of work are we talking? You mentioned the daily prep. How long did it take to get all that stuff together?
We divide and conquer as equally as we can. It's no short of, especially down in crunch time, you're putting 20 plus hours a week in. Matt's easily doubling that as he is our kind of do it all behind the scenes guy. So he's making us look like light work, but it's tough. You try to balance your work life, your personal life, but then also prepare for these and make sure that we give quality information. There's a difference between quantity and quality. We believe in quality over quantity. And, it may take us a little while longer to get information out. We don't necessarily want to be the very first person to always get the information out unless it just happens to fall like that. But we want to make sure that we're giving quality and accurate information. So it takes time.
Matt, you go first here and then Q follow it up. I'm curious how you guys view these 3 sides of the triangle individually. And if you have the same answer, that's okay. How would you rate importance of finding a team that you like when you rate the pitching, the hitting, and the defense? I know that there might not be an absolute answer there, but generally speaking, how would you rank those three in order of importance? Pitching, hitting, and defense.
I would say pitching number one. That's kind of the full anchor of every handicap we're on. We've got starting pitching. If you go back to the website, you can hover over. I know like Arkansas, Washington State, they both have announced their starting pitching. That's one of the hardest things to find in college baseball. But it's so important because if you've got a true ace or if you've got a guy that's going to go out and give you 6 or 7 innings, that's really important to a handicap because these bullpens aren't very good typically with college baseball, and they're throwing to guys with an aluminum bat. And overs, they tend to take off in the 7th, 8th inning. You've got bullpens that just completely collapse. So it's very important for pitching. I mean, anytime you've got pitching depth, you're head and shoulders above your opponent that may not have but 1 or 2 guys that they can lean on. When you can trot out 5 or 6 different guys out of the middle relief position and get outs, you're going to be head and shoulders better.
You?
Yeah, I would say to add on to that, if a lot of teams have one ace, the teams that win national championships have those Saturday and Sunday guys. When you get into the playoff format and you're one pitcher that you go, he throws 7 innings, he's out for a week. You got to have people that can come in and get back to him in the rotation in a tournament format. That's huge. I let Matt kind of preface the pitching aspect. I'm very heavy on style of hitting. I think in order to win a national championship, the days of small ball are, I don't want to say lost, but they're very extinct. You've got to be able to hit a home run and Charles Schwab. And if you can't, you just kind of get eaten alive by guys like Jack Caglianone, who can erase a 3-run deficit with one swing of the bat. You can almost make up for a stupid error within the game that gave up a run with one swing. So you got to have that probably just as much as quality pitching, because you look at Oral Roberts, you look at Kentucky, you look at Vanderbilt the last few years, like when they've made it, they've struggled because they can't run produce. And that's a big thing out there.
So we're both putting defense third?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it matters. Like you can't have a trash defense, but it's pitching.
It still kind of goes back to pitching though. With defense,
and there's a big drop off. Like
you can got a guy. Yeah, you got a guy that's out there. It doesn't matter what defense, like a Paul Skeens. Yeah, the LSU defense is going to look really good. Yeah. So it kind of goes hand in hand with pitching, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's a pop up to second base, right? When Skeens pitches, that's a ground ball to third.
Right. Q dropping a Florida Gators reference when talking about smashing the ball. That's what he likes to say. Arkansas didn't have a guy bat over 1,000 OPS last year. That was a problem. As good as Hagen Smith was, that you got to hit the ball. Like, yeah. Get on base.
He's a White Sox now, isn't he? Hagen Smith?
Yeah, poor guy.
Oh, just catching strays on my own show here.
No,
hey, the win total is only 52.5 for us this year.
I am Southside till I die. Like, I grew up a Cardinals fan. Because of the MLB. We can't watch the Cardinals games because it's blacked out 5.5 hours away from St. Louis. So the enemy to my enemy is my friend, Chicago White Sox. We all hate the Cubs. So we've got that in common. So
yeah, I always viewed it as the White Sox hate the Cubs hate the Cardinals, and the Cardinals don't care about either of them. Yeah, the Cardinals just do not care. Wow, you brought up Jack Kaggs. I love that guy and hated that guy so much. The year I had Florida 2 years ago, I loved him. And then didn't he walk everybody in the final game against LSU? They took a 2-run lead and then got smoked. But that was, I mean, if I remember correctly without looking, LSU won the first game huge. Or no, actually, no. They came back. They came back and won a close one. Florida blew them out in game 2, and then LSU blew Florida out in game 3. Jack Kaggs was a very polarizing guy having money on that Florida team. Ugh.
Oh, when who was it? Wyatt Langford hit that 2-run bomb in the first.
I thought thought it was
3. I was like, oh shit! I'm so glad I didn't hedge it.
Yeah.
And then we see.
Well, and then Wyatt. I mean, he was literally 3 inches away from winning game 1. Left fielder makes a hell of a jumping catch in left field, and but if he doesn't catch that, Florida wins the game 5-4. Obviously, they don't. It goes to extras. And Tommy Tanks hits. Kay Beloso hits the shot that killed the Florida Gators in night one and led to that blowout. But yeah, when Langford hit that game 3 home run, I texted Matt and he texted me simultaneously, said it's over. The Gators just won, and 15-2. As we're looking back, it doesn't look great.
No, 15-2. Wow. I remember watching game one. We were at Disney and she's like, "What are you watching?" I'm like, "Nothing." I'm watching game one of the College World Series on the mouse boat, going over to wherever, Epcot or whatever.
Your
All right.
priorities.
I do want to get something actionable for tomorrow by the end of the show. So there's something to think about over the next 15 minutes or so. And I did see some of your guys' stuff already on X, but for those that haven't seen it, maybe a bet, or I know Q, you do a lot of the money line parlays, which a lot of guys are very, very good at. Hey, take these two teams that are going to win and parlay them together. People get a lot of shit for that, and then they both win. So I think college baseball is one of the most parlayable sports. If you have the right pitcher against the right team, it's a good bet, and you just minimize the juice. You turn two favorites into a dog. Why not? But I'm curious on teams not named Arkansas, Grissom, that are good enough to pull this thing off at the end of the season.
If you go back and listen to the last year when I was on this show, we ended up talking about Tennessee, and I think it was 16-1 at the time. And you talked me into, or vice versa, making a bet on that. So pay attention. This is good. This is good stuff. So I'm down on A&M this year. I'm down on Tennessee. It's really hard to repeat for Tennessee's sake. I like looking down at the preseason 5 through 15 on the board here. Virginia 12-1 still seems criminally over or underrated. Jeff Davis, our friend at Circa, who I know you like Naked City Wings with, he hung 950. So that right there should tell you, if you got 250 in value right there, Virginia, they're underrated on this book. Arkansas, the same way. It's 1,000 at Circa. You can get it 15-1 here at DraftKings. Florida State, I was really high on them back in November. And then I learned that Cam Leiter was probably not going to be ready to go. That was really going to be a good 1-2 punch with Jamie Arnold, the best pitcher in the country. I got him 30-1, now at 22-1. I don't think that is worth a bet. But a team like Georgia, a team like Clemson, I think they're dangerous enough to get there. But you said no Arkansas. That's the best value on the board, in my opinion.
Where did you go to college?
Virginia.
Where'd you go to college?
Carolina.
Where'd you go?
University of Central Arkansas. I'll give you $100 if you can tell me one famous player that played there.
Scottie Pippen.
Good job. I'll Venmo you.
You don't Venmo me. It's fine. It's fine. I cut you off.
surprised
I knew
you
you were
knew
going to
that,
say
Paul.
Arkansas was good, though. I like that. That was minus 800 to happen on this show.
The best pitching staff in the country. And we've got guys that can hit now.
Okay.
And you'll love Rocco Pepe. He's batting leadoff. He's a West Coast guy. He's got swagger. And I love it. He's going to be like the new fan favorite. He's a fifth-year senior.
I do think, and I want to circle back to the Circa comparison in a second after we get Q's teams, but I think comparing daily prices and future prices to Circa is a very good idea, and curious how much you guys do that on a day-to-day basis. How about you, Q? I only have the DraftKings number up here. There's really not a good place to compare prices in college baseball, at least yet, that I've found. But from these prices that you see, maybe some other prices that you've seen in other books, what teams leap off the page to you?
So I'm with Matt. I got a really good number on Virginia at 26-1. They're obviously at 12-1. I still think 12-1 is a number you grab them at because, again, with Circa posting them under 10-1, I think you're going to see their value just get worse as the season goes in terms of a good number. But so I am kind of also, I'm going to actually use Matt's own theory last year against him, and I'm going to say Texas A&M. And I'll tell you why. They have experienced players on the team. Typically the top 4 or 5 bets over the last 3 or 4 years have ended up cashing the tickets. And I think DraftKings outside of Circa probably has the most consistent lines out of FanDuel, Bet Rivers, ESPN Bet, and whatnot. So I think you're getting a decent number with DraftKings. I think they tell you something. Tennessee last year kind of stayed at the top. The year before, LSU did as well. And I think that's a tribute to what they really think about them. You've got to have a couple things. You got to have an offense and a good pitching staff, as we covered earlier in the show. But you also have to have experience. When it comes to Virginia, Brian O'Connor lives in a second home in June every year in Omaha, right next to Kevin O'Sullivan for Florida. But A&M, I know they have a new coach, but they're very experienced from a roster standpoint from that team last year that, for all intents and purposes, if Braden Montgomery's there and a couple pitchers don't go down, like maybe they're the national champions. And I think they feel that. I think they feel slighted by the whole Schlossnagle drama. They rallied around early to bring him back. And I think they have something to prove that, hey, we don't need Schloss here to do this. We have our guys. We brought a lot back and can win this national title. So those are two teams that I'm very heavy on.
You got a hell of a number on Virginia. I just looked real quick. 12 at DraftKings, 12 at FanDuel, 12 at ESPN Bet. I mean, there's nothing anywhere near that. When did you make that? Months ago? Or
I got 23-1 in November.
Yeah, wow. I would say around November. So literally the first practice, Brian O'Connor, obviously he's a legend in the game. He's very specific with his words, and he first practice said, "This is probably the best team I've had in close to 10 years." And when the coach says that,
let's bet that.
I have to jump all over it. And I texted Matt that. I said, "This is what he's saying. Like, the legend has spoken. Put your mortgage on it, per se, because this is real deal." And for him to say that speaks volumes of the team.
So do you use, a lot of people will look at books like Pinnacle and Chris and Bet Online and compare those books. The top down guys use a lot of these sharp books as a North Star. But in terms of baseball, have you guys found that there's a book or two that are sharper than other books? Because I don't bet the daily stuff like you guys do. I bet what you tell me to and what some of our buddies tell us to bet, but I'm not betting it every day like you guys are. Is there a book or two that you've noticed in college baseball that allows you to sort of build off of that using those numbers from a book or two, or am I just way off here?
No, I mean, like I said earlier, I think Jeff is really sharp when it comes to college baseball. He knows what he's doing. He's, one of the best books, not just because I know him, but there's not a face to the DraftKings college baseball line hanger. There's not one for Bet Rivers. Looking back though, because to Q's point, saying it's usually a shorter shot, you have to go down the board. Tennessee was 22-1 at Circa in February of last year. They were the 9th shortest shot to win it all. Texas A&M was right in front of them at 16-1. Wake, Florida, Arkansas, LSU, and Vanderbilt were all shorter odds than Tennessee. So it's not always chalk. And we saw a couple years ago with Tennessee being the number 1 overall team. They looked unstoppable. They lose to Notre Dame in the Super Regionals. So be careful with that. But looking at just last year's odds from this year, like Jeff was short on Tennessee, Texas A&M, versus DraftKings, FanDuel, and Bet Rivers. So hats off to him. It's Circa and then everybody else, in my opinion. The only thing that the knock on Circa is that they only hang lines on Friday night.
Oh, wait, Friday. Yeah. What do you mean Friday night? Like they put them up like Friday afternoon?
Yeah, he only does the aces. So it's like Friday night starts. Those are the lines that come out during the regular season. Now in the postseason, it's every game. But Friday night is you're not to bet Circa. Saturday, Sunday, you've got to bet MGM or DK or FanDuel.
And I bet you guys probably can't get down what you want to get down in this sport, because if you win in college baseball, I mean, they probably take your bets, but you can't be betting, crazy limits.
Like I'm absolutely screwed because we've got 3 sports. We've got Betley, which is an absolute joke. We've got Oaklawn, who just copy and paste Bet Rivers odds. And then we've got Bet Saracen. And like, if I get limited in Arkansas, I might as well buy a house in Memphis, Tennessee. And who wants to do that right now? But like DraftKings is my next step to go over to Tennessee. So I have to be really careful.
Yeah, $100 bet is like a $10,000 bet in a normal sport, baseball, football. So you really have to be careful. I think another way to answer your question, Sam, is Yeah, Circa is probably the most accurate when it comes to what a team should be priced. The problem is they're only in 5 or 6 states outside of Vegas, so the availability is limited. So then, same thing with Bet Rivers. FanDuel only posts a few games here and there, very inconsistent. DraftKings may not have the best and most accurate lines; they have the most consistent availability of any of the books in the most lines. So you're kind of caught in between the two of accuracy versus availability. And it makes it a little tough. Obviously, we'd like all the sports books to allow it to grow and see it for face value and realize that it's doubling every year in popularity and just, take other people's money because that's typically what the NFL, MLB, NBA does. So do the same. And so right now we're in that battle of not spending too much to get put on a ban list or a limitations list, but also being able to even have the bets made available.
I am not good at betting college baseball myself. I need help from guys like you. And that's why I think people should check out the website, as I've said, collegebaseballinsiders.com. But I got a text from a friend of ours, Ricky, who said, hey, go bet this tomorrow. And he wanted to lay 270 on Duke against Cincinnati. And I said, well, how much do you want to bet? He goes, well, try 200. So I went in, I logged in, I hit 200 minus 270, got the wheel, and it said, we'll give you $30. And I'm not even good at it. I'm not limited in college baseball at this place, but that's the hesitancy for that's a big American book that spends millions and millions of dollars on advertising and marketing and commercials, and they won't take $200 on a fucking $3 favorite. Day one of the season. That's where we're at.
It's
Andrew Healy pitching.
Sure. I don't even know who that is. Like I said, I don't know.
They don't know. That's what's even crazier.
So,
I believe it's Kyle Johnson.
But I'm glad you said that. They don't know. So how are they? I mean, we know how they're making the numbers, but do we see in this sport? I asked you guys not facetiously or rhetorically. I ask you because I don't know. I'm really going to spend a lot more time this year because now I'm doing 5-day-a-week shows. I have to study baseball more than ever. I'm not doing a half-hour show anymore. I'm doing a 3-hour show. That's 15 hours a week. I need to know more about this. How much do these lines move from time to time? I mean, not every game moves. This is not a blanket question, but do we see lines go from 180 to 230 routinely on these big college cards? Yeah.
We'll have 2 or 3 hours a week.
Wow.
But
so if you're ahead of it, you can do damage.
Because the sports books don't know. We try to be ahead of, okay, what team is starting which pitcher? Because that's the key. Like, you've handicapped at least 5 innings. If you're like a first 5 MLB better, that's what you kind of have to base your whole handicap off of. Because, like I said earlier, the bullpens are usually not good. So they'll hang lines, but not know who's pitching. And so one of the biggest things and indicators is like, okay, I know who's pitching. They obviously don't. And then they get a lot of money. Then it comes in, oh, we found out this guy's pitching. We're way off on the number. So it goes from 130 to 180 or 190.
Yeah, pretty routine. Yeah, we joke.
It happens every single week.
We joked 2 years ago, Matt and I would happily lay like minus 238 every Friday night when LSU's playing with Paul Skeens. And we would joke, be like, well, that should probably be about minus 450, but they don't know. So at minus 238, we're getting a hell of a price. We're going to jump all over it. And
I mean, it's the same in MLB. Like if you get these minus, I know it got crazy, especially with the White Sox getting ran through the ringer. I'm sorry to just continue to trash that program, but like it's like minus 450 against the Mets or whoever. It's like, yeah, okay. It just, at this point, they're not going to win.
Yeah.
So, minus 300 in college baseball with Paul Skeens. Now, fast forward, you see what Paul Skeens is. He was doing that in college against college kids, and he's doing it in Pittsburgh now. And so people that are like, why would you parlay Wake Forest and LSU? Well, yeah, Rhett Lauder and Paul Skeens. Turn on the MLB Network. You'll know soon enough.
Rhett Lauder, Vanderbilt, right?
Wake Forest. Close. You had the black and gold.
Yeah, the color scheme down, kind of. Well, actually, I did have the color scheme down. Let me ask 2 more questions, and I'll let you guys go. I appreciate you making time. Who are the Friday guys we need to know this year? And if you don't want to give names, give teams, because people are going to be like, "Who the hell is that?" Give me the Friday guys or the Friday teams that we need to circle heading into the first couple weeks of the season.
Jamie Arnold at Florida State is probably always going to be a minus 240, 250 favorite when he takes the bump. You've got Aiden Kanak, who I'm really high on with Clemson. He is a true ace. Grayson Grinsell with Oregon. He is another true ace in a weak Big Ten. I'll let Q take it from here so I don't steal all of his people.
Q's just nodding in silence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
because there's not really a whole lot this year. Like last year and the year before, I feel like there were 7 or 8. There may be 4 or 5 this year.
I'll give you 2 underrated names to kind of round it out. Evan Blanco, Virginia. You know, he high strikeout guy, doesn't get the credit that maybe he deserves. That maybe Aiden Kanak, war receiver, whatever. But the guy's a dog. He's like a mini Max Scherzer on the mound. Just loves to pitch. He's going to give you 6+ innings every start and give UVA a chance to win in every game. Another one is Gabe Gackel from the Arkansas Razorbacks. Ceiling is through the roof with this kid. He's the real deal. He's going to kind of get flown under the radar in terms of preseason top, whatever list you want to compile. But I think that's a name you absolutely need to know. He will be an ace at the end of the season that you're like, wow, who's this kid? And we're going to say, hey, we tried to tell you in preseason. So those are 2 guys I think get underrated. And I'll even give you a third, Jason DeCaro, 17-year-old kid last year. UNC's pitching staff gets riddled with injuries. They make Omaha, and he literally carries the entire team on his back and wins some games that they probably shouldn't have won. He's going to be their Friday night guy this year. The kid's a monster, and he has experience and a very good North Carolina baseball team.
I already know. Go ahead.
If I would have said that about Gabe Gackel, it would have gone in one ear out the other.
I would have hit eject.
He turned down millions of dollars to go to college, and he was a middle reliever last year. Obviously, now he steps into the role as ace, replacing Hagen Smith. So no tall task, but when you're battling with Landon Beidelshees from Ohio State and Zach Root from East Carolina, who have both started, both done well, and now you're a sophomore and, baby face, just Dave Van Horn trusts you to take the ball on a Friday night like that. Yeah, you're going to know real quick.
I don't want you guys to spoil all the secrets. And if you want more information, you can go to collegeinsiders.com. Check out the daily schedule, download the guide, which you can do right now. It's a very, very solid packet of information. You can download it in PDF form. We've covered Friday guys. We've covered pitching. We've covered teams that can win it all. Now we talk about Friday, opening day, college baseball. I give each of you $100. You can do whatever you want with it. Grissom, you go first. What am I doing with my 100 tomorrow?
I'm going to lay Clemson minus 132. I think Oklahoma State, they're missing way too much in their pitching staff. They really have Nolan Schubart in their lineup and not really anybody else that's going to scare you. Aiden Mayola is good, but he's not great. I think Aiden Kanak just comes out and shoves. So Clemson minus 132. I wish I could have gotten it at minus 110, but it is what it is. It's still value in my opinion.
Q?
I'm going to split into 2 bets. I'm going to put $75 on my parlay since you brought it up. UVA, Florida State. Wish I would have got a little better odds before Florida State jump, but it's about minus 160. And then 25 on Clemson.
Okay, so we both like Clemson tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. I see some of the tweets and most of the tweets that you guys are positive. But there's that one guy that's always like, oh, you and your parlays. And I'm like, dude, these parlays win all the time. Like, I don't know. Like, this is a sport where you can parlay really good teams together to win. This is a very parlayable sport if you do it right.
Sammy, there's not many minus 130 lines. That's the problem. Like, those are gifts when you actually get them on the board. A lot of the times it's 298s, 310s, 195s. So when you do get those Clemson lines, it's great. You jump all over them. The problem is it's far and few.
What's up, Chris?
And I'll tell you this. We've been doing this for 2 years now. I've been handicapping college baseball since 2018. We do it for fun because we love it, but Like we work really hard. We put in a lot of hours right now. My kid's been on his Nintendo Switch for like 6 hours today so I can work. Terrible parent, but we do this because we love the sport. It's not easy. If we just could rack up with, $10,000 bets, that would be great. But it's a pretty low income potential sport, or else you're going to get banned. So just keep supporting us. We're doing it. We've done it for free. We unleashed that we released that we're selling picks now, but we can drag you to the water, but we can't make you drink. Now you're going to pay for us to make you drink, I guess, because you can use the website for absolutely free. If you're not at least paying for picks, use the website because it's a hell of a resource. And Nick Dimmitt's done a fantastic job getting that up and going for us.
If you guys are not in a hurry, I do have some questions from the chat if you want to hang around for another 5 minutes. Let me bring in Corbie here. Corbie, meet Matt and Quentin.
What's up, guys?
Corbie, of course, chicken dinner legend. All right, so this is
in a remote location.
Yeah, where are you at? Where is that?
We don't worry about that.
Okay, just drop a pin. We'll let everybody know.
In the middle of nowhere.
This is from John Lerner. The preseason guide is very well done. So there's a sentiment that I just echoed from these guys. The guide is very good. Go check it out. It's free. You can pilfer through that thing over the next couple of weeks. I imagine a lot of that stuff is going to be very, very true to what you see on the field. This is from Tripp, who asks, is Virginia plus 380 to win the ACC a good value bet?
So the short shot to win the ACC, I think they're 0-7 in the last 7 years to do it. So I would like them more to win it all than to win the ACC, as dumb as that may sound.
I wouldn't disagree. I'll tell you this. If you're going to lay anybody in ACC, UVA, UNC, and Clemson, I think all are plus money. I don't think it's a bad bet. If it was minus, absolutely. But it's a very top-heavy league, very talented 3 teams. If you're going to lay anybody in ACC, make sure it's one of those 3 teams, and I don't think you're far off.
Sippin' and Trippin' makes a comment, says the books are scared, won't even post totals. And Corbie is not. And Corbie, you bet a lot of college baseball?
Actually, I have a guy that bets college baseball for me, yes. And I asked him how keen he is of you guys, and he said you guys are the names in college baseball. So shout out to you. An unrecommended source. It just was I know nothing about I have watched less college baseball than I have women's softball. So
I don't either. I just bet what these guys say. I don't.
You're missing out. Especially come regionals, Tom. If you just love sports, you would love March Madness on steroids.
Yeah, the SEC is usually at the Met, which is right next to my hometown. I'm from Birmingham, so I've watched a lot of SEC ball there. But just from a betting standpoint, usually get somebody else to bet it for me. Don't ever, because these totals, geez, if you get 2 bad pitchers on the mound, you might get 30 runs. Steel bad, aluminum and bad pitchers don't make for the best combination of runs there.
I also think, not that we want to tell people to chase steam, but if you see a line open 11.5 and go to 12.5, oftentimes you could still bet to 12.5. It's just,
Agreed.
You see these games 11-8 final, and when you see that line open and get hit a run or a 1.5 right away, I'm not saying, again, I want to be careful here. Don't blindly chase steam, but in a lot of these games, you do see the games that move right away. Forget it. In some of these games, you could chase a run and then you look up and it opened 11.5 and now it's 13.5 or 14. And that early move is often indicative of where this money is going to go all day long. Let's see. One more thing here on college. Josh Nelson, great website, Sox Machine, asking about Tyler Bremner. Yeah, I have no idea who this is. I assume he's a pitcher.
UC Santa Barbara's ace. Very, very good. I feel like he's also going to be one of those that are consistently, especially when conference play starts, he's going to be minus 300, minus 350 every Friday night. So those are the guys that you want to parlay.
You guys, hold on. These guys are on fire here. There's 1,500 people watching right now live, and the questions are still coming in. This is from Dr. Eck. How about Wake Forest? Question mark.
Logan
of course-
Lunsford is going to
Look-
look a hell of a lot better than he did at Missouri.
Yeah.
The
I don't
pitching
think
lab, though,
I don't think this is a Friday night question. I think this is more of a big picture question because again, this was a team that was preseason favored last year and everybody gargled them all season. They don't have the hype they had last year, but what's the skinny on Wake Forest?
Well, I'm probably higher than Matt on them. If their pitching staff, which they consider like the Wake Forest pitching lab to kind of be the holy grail, if that lines up Logan Lunsford and a couple other guys that they have, watch out because their offensive lineup is absolutely stacked with guys like Cade Lewis, Ethan Conrad, transfer, highly touted, Merrick Houston. Like they have so many bats in the lineup, just 1 through 9. They're going to be hard to get out. And then on top of that, they probably have one of the best bullpens in the country. A lot of experience in that bullpen, young experience. But if their starting rotation can get it, they're extremely dangerous.
Last one. We have a question from Brad. Is laying 300 with a favorite like Duke something you guys are comfortable doing?
there's too many other parlay pieces. I would just parlay it with one other team.
Yeah. I not a solo lay, a parlay with somebody. Get that, like you said, kind of down to even money if you can.
I mean, the most I would probably lay on a straight bet's around 220.
Okay.
Other than that, I mean, if you take
going to be on a Friday night,
300, like take Arkansas minus 530 and Duke minus 300. And parlay
Arkansas will lay 530.
I mean,
in a
Gabe,
parlay.
Gabe Gackle.
Sammy, I have a question, and it regards to this right here. So it's a fair question. Do you guys have like I guess more success with these heavy favorites? I feel like in niche markets, kind of like college baseball, like it makes a lot of sense that a sportsbook just couldn't honestly lay a big enough number. Like the long shot bias is going to be really big here, and I feel like you talk about like minus 500. Like, honestly. You brought up Skeens. Like you give me the ability to bet Skeens again. If he's 6-1 versus an absolutely shitty team, like I'm probably laying it at basically every case here.
Yeah.
I think it's very like you got to look at the situation. Who's pitching? Who are they playing? What team are you looking at? Like there's so many variables. You know, Rhett Lauder, Paul Skeens, they were anomalies. But you're gonna.
But we weren't backing up the Brinks truck week one on these guys
No, not at all.
So like we knew the preseason hype, but you have to tread lightly. Like this is week one.
Yeah, certainly.
We have a lot more weeks of this. We're going until June, so don't blow your load too early.
That might be the title of the episode. Don't blow your load. I love that.
You don't need AI.
Brad added respect Woo Pig, which I love.
Hey, look, it's in my background. I'm stationed here in Arkansas. I love them, but I was super critical of them last year too. And in our website, we could see the track record of we can't hit. Like that's a problem. And it finally showed to be true. Like the stats, you know, like there's the championship formula in March Madness. You got to be ranked in this in Ken Palm. There's one for baseball too. And newsflash, you got to hit if you want to win the College World Series. Arkansas couldn't. So I knew about mid-season that this wasn't a championship team. That is good to know.
Speaking of not hitting, I just looked at Skeens' numbers his last year at LSU. Well, his only year rather, because he started at Air Force, right?
Yeah.
His 23 season at LSU, 13-2 with a 1.69 ERA and a WHIP of 0.75.
Do you know the team that beat him twice?
I'm guessing it's an SEC team, and I'm guessing it's Arkansas.
Yep.
That's two questions that I answered right back in your face today. Scottie Pippen.
Well, I want to get that $100. You're on a roll. Lay it on the table.
Yeah. I'm just going to put it on Clemson tomorrow. That's what I'll do.
There we go.
Check out Matt. Check out Quentin. The handles on social, at Grissom on X and at Q Millie. There's a bunch of L's and Y's in there. Yeah. Check them out on Twitter as well, at NCAA Insiders. And the website is collegebaseballinsiders.com. Gentlemen, thank you for making time. Good luck this season. And we'll do it again soon when we get closer to Omaha.
All right, sounds good.
Sounds
All right.
good.
Like,
There
boys.
they go. That's Matt Grissom and Quentin Mills. Whew, out of
Now you're
breath here,
stuck with me.
which is good. I've barely touched my Cam's 2010 homecoming whiskey diet here. You know, this is my vacation after I get off the show, right? I'm done. I'm done for 2 weeks
Yeah.
after today. Yep.
I was telling the crew downstairs, they're waiting on me with the Nintendo Switch, and I said, if Sammy can make time for his vacation, I can make time for Sammy. So here we are. We're gonna have a fun talk here.
Yeah, I want to, before we get into how much Corbie risked on the Super Bowl halftime show, I want to plow through a couple more of these comments here that were
Yeah,
not
certainly.
baseball related. This is from Brad. Thank you for the gray unders. What a sweat, man. Noah Gray, 1 catch, 2 yards. He's on the field the whole fourth quarter. He catches one more ball and runs 11 yards. I lose thousands, but he did not. He finishes 1 catch and 2 yards. Ace says the tool said to have a half-naked chick on the thumbnail. Maybe next episode on the thumbnail. Did you catch the thumbnail? Very funny.
I did see the new one. It was good. I would say it underappreciated your good looks, but it was good.
I thought that guy makes way too much money to be me. I mean, with the hair, he looked like he played like for the Swedish national hockey team. He looked like he partied with the guy who founded Spotify. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was thinking he bought some Dogecoin really early, sold it. Now he has enough money to just do whatever he wants.
This is from Chetta X. What is the odds screen you are using? This is Odds Logic, which I can show one more time here for those that are new to the show. I use this every single day, and if anybody wants to reach out, I can get you hooked up there. I've been using this for multiple years. This is the Odds Logic screen right now. If you're watching it on YouTube and X, ooh, it's lighting up like a Christmas tree right now because we got halftime lines. So this is the halftime market in college basketball, and of course, this is the market for the NBA. This is the other college basketball of the night. I don't have it populated yet for college baseball, but if you look, you got all this stuff. You got the fights, you got tennis, you got, the golf head-to-heads, and very sadly, if you click football, it says no data available. But this is Odds Logic, oddslogic.com. They sponsor the show. I use it every day, 8 hours a day. So if you're interested in learning more, just shoot me a note at SPShoot on Twitter, and I can help point you in the right direction. And then the last thing that I wanted to show comment-wise was from Trip. We said the thumbnail looks like Pete Craig Kilborn. Corbie, you don't even know who Craig Kilborn is.
Nope. Looking it up right now. Give me a second.
All-time comedian, used to host a late-night talk show. I believe it was the Late Show with Craig Kilborn.
I could see you. I could see some you and Craig Kilborn.
There's a lot of similarities. He was also the boyfriend in Old School that cheated on Ellen Pompeo. You've seen Old School before, right?
No. One thing you learn about me is I don't watch anything. I don't know anything.
You are very, very young, and it's adorable. Okay, one more thing. This is also from Trip, and I agree with what he's saying here. NCAA insiders are legit. They made serious bank during the regional supers and college World Series. So thank you all for commenting, and thanks for watching. We're over 1,500 live right now, so this is really, really cool on Chicken Dinner Live. Okay, Super Bowl. Chiefs, Eagles, halftime. Take it away. Go.
Yeah, so it was a crazy day, Sammy. It was a crazy week. So like the main thing I want to reference, well, there's a few things. First off, like I wasn't betting outside of my means, obviously. I know what I'm doing. But like inevitably, like information like this leaks every single year. The issue, like for every event, I know last year I was betting like the Oscars. I think that was your fault, but somebody's fault with betting the Oscars, something like that. I don't know. It was things get leaked all the time, and so the inevitable issue you run into is like, okay, cool, like you can't do anything with it. What are you gonna do? Go bet $40 in your PPH on a 5-1 in the Oscars? Like they're going to say no, or they're going to only offer like BetOnline takes $25 on first song, last song, halftime show. So every single year this stuff comes out. You can, if you do enough research, you can find the answers. and came out, and this is the first year that we've had. I guess not the first year, but the first major year where there was exchanges. Like you can put your price yes nos, and there's some pretty good exchanges that we're offering. Like I know Polymarket was big in the election. Polymarket only available in Canada. Also, Canadian books offer these props. U.S. regulation doesn't allow it. So if you have Canadian books, no friends in Canada, you can get down on the halftime show. If you have Polymarket, which is in Canada, or in the U.S., it's Kalshi. I am unaffiliated with all these people. Do not take my word to use anybody ever. I'm just letting you know what I did. So like inevitably, I was just a guy laying a whole bunch of juice, Sam. And it's one of those things where like, I mean, if you know that it's not going to happen, what is 2-1 or what is a minus 210 was minus 300? It inevitably doesn't matter. So I just had limit orders set, put enough money that I felt comfortable that filled pretty quick. And then I played the game of like, and it's always interesting to me because people talk about never bet above your means, but like, what is your means? You know, if you knew something was going to happen, how much money would you bet on it? And you might say a number, but like, you never know until that number is tested, you know? And that's what this weekend was. It was a number that tested me, and I knew that it was a good number because at the end of the show, it was all done. I won everything, happy as could possibly be. And there was not 1 second of regret of like, man, I should have bet more. Did not care. I was as happy as I possibly could be. And that is the number I have now set as my new biggest bet. If we call halftime as a singular bet, it was like 20 positions. If we call halftime as a singular bet, new biggest bet of all time, and I'm happy about that.
And this is a mid 5-figure amount that you had on it. I'm not going to kiss and tell your business, but I mean, it was a huge number.
I think we could say it. It's fine.
You could say whatever you want. I'm not going to throw your business into the street.
So it was, I mean, like now dealing with issues of like getting all the money, but like for the most part, ended up getting right at $47,000 down. So a substantial amount of money. I was, and it's what's goofy. It's like when people hear that, they're like, "There's no way you got down 47 on a halftime show." And honestly, like I have friends who can help, but like a lot of that was just exchanges. Like, I mean, granted, I had to lay again 210, 300. Like I was buying every ounce of liquidity in the entire market of call. If you saw my P&L on Call Sheet, which I think they're public, like, I think you search my name on Call Sheet and see anything I've ever bought, and you'll see. Like, I mean, if DJ Mustard came on stage, Sam, if he came on stage, I made $3,000. If he did not come on stage, I lost $11,000, which is ridiculous. And that's
14,000 swing on DJ Mustard.
Yeah, it's all publicly. Like, I mean, that's not anything behind the business. I mean, I have to pay taxes on that Call Sheet. Like, it's at the end of the day, it was me just being a psychopath. So it was fun. But the fun story about it, and kind of what like makes me feel good, is it becomes my biggest liability ever. And prior to last weekend, I guess my biggest liability ever was a presidential election bet, which lost. So I was known as the gambler whose biggest bet ever lost. And now I can gladly say, hand up high, biggest bet I've ever taken did in fact win, and I'm a happy guy because of that.
So how many outs do you think it took to get all of that down? I was guessing 20. Joe didn't even know where to start. I mean, obviously we knew it was multiple. You can't put everything into one shop. And you know, the limits at Bet Online and some of these offshore shops used to be bigger, but then people started leaking the anthem rehearsal and the set list and all that. So these guys offshore aren't taking big bets anymore because there's no point. Yep. But I'm guessing like 20, and that might be a little bit high, but it also could be way low. I have no idea.
I would say you'd be surprised how little. But for a few reasons. I would say if anyone wanted to replicate, you'd be over 100. But I've done this for a few years now. Like, as you said, all of this stuff leaks. Like the anthem rehearsal times leak, the song leaks, the Gatorade color leak. Like if you're willing to listen and have people that are telling you stuff, like you'll get the information. So I've been doing this for a few years. I would say I probably had 7 kids who were just betting, $100 or whatever, outs for me. I free-rolled them. And then I had some Canadian books, which, example, if you have a Canadian DraftKings, which I won't go too into detail, like how much was bet there, because it would be pretty easy to cross-reference which one was me. You could bet a lot of money into a DK account in Canada. Again, U.S. regulation doesn't allow major sports books to have this stuff, but Canada does. Like, you could bet first song, last song, number of songs, like you on DraftKings. So like, let's just say you had a whale account, quote unquote. You could get a good bit down, and so we had good success with that. The Canadian government has their own sports book, which is, first off, sick as hell. And they will, no limits, just 1 minute buffer time to let them decide if they want to adjust. So like, we had a few people click the Canadian books, wait a minute, click again until they adjusted the line. I mean, again, if you know what's going to happen, like first 4 clicks were 6.5 to 1, final 5 clicks were 3 to 1. Like, I mean, I'll take it at 1 to 1. I don't really care. So we were able to get a lot down in Canada, a lot down in Collegie. Collegie was honestly a saving grace. I had to lay a ton of juice, but it was a saving grace to get any kind of liquidity.
I said off the top, it is much more challenging than people realize when you have the information to just get down what you want. People think they get the set list and, you send me stuff, I send you stuff. We get information. A lot of the information, though, is on these markets that take – well, no, I'm saying like if I tell you that the star player at Maryland's out, you can get thousands of dollars down on one click. But if I tell you that the Gatorade's going to be yellow, it's a orchestra to get all that down. And, getting down thousands is very, very difficult. And then the worst part is because you're not dealing with MGM, DraftKings, FanDuel, Caesars, whatever, then you got to get paid.
Yeah, this will probably be my biggest stiff ever too. It's sounding like it'll be my biggest stiff ever. So
damn, really?
And honestly, it was a lot better than I thought. It was just one person who was able to bet a lot of money.
But that blows because if you would have lost, say DJ Mustard goes the wrong way,
I would have given the money at 100%.
Of course you would. Yeah. They're going to take that. But if he, because it worked in your favor, now you might not get paid because you put your money in a foreign place.
And you got the alert too. That what the sportsbook did is they waited till the first quarter started to say that it was void or loss on your bet. Like,
no, I got mine. No, mine came in Monday morning and said, here's the exact, I brought this up earlier. I didn't have the message in front of me. So it said important message. I logged into the account. It was an Ace account. And it said right when I logged in, I got a prompt that flashed right in front of my face. And it said important message. And that's never good. GNX plus 500. All bets have been deleted due to public knowledge of the halftime show set list. Yeah, I have never seen that before.
Delete them on Sunday then, like, come on. It's
don't take the bets. Don't take the bets then.
It's a bailout answer. And it's been a headache, but overall can't complain. I mean, this stuff leaks every year, and this is a factor of probably 10x the most I've been able to get down on it. So, like, again, if you ever I am not affiliated to any exchange, but I do think that the exchange model is going to make this kind of stuff significantly easier to bet on in the future. Like, I had a good experience. I know I'm going to have to pay out the ass taxes. I know that I paid a ton of exchange rates. I know that I paid crypto rates when I took my money out. And so there's a lot of upside that can be cleaned up in the future, but feel pretty comfortable with it. If you want to bet halftime shows the next 5 years, go look for the random guy who's making limit orders of 10,000 and just bet whatever side he's on because he probably knows something.
This was a pretty funny story on Sunday. So there were people over at the house, about 10 people, and I had been telling them that I need, the under on the Anthem, which 2 weeks ago on this show with the guys from the 108, we had talked about betting under 205, 2 minutes and 5 seconds. And, that eventually got down to around 2 flat offshore, and then they pulled it. So I'm telling all the guys, they're all like, what do you have? What do you need? And I'm going through my list, and I go, and, it'd be nice if the Anthem would stay under. And they said, well, what are the numbers? I said, well, I need certain numbers. It's not important. I just need under certain numbers. So then somebody busts out the prop sheets at the Super Bowl party. And we're filling them all out. And the number on the printed sheet from whatever website, like CBS Sports or whatever, says National Anthem 90.5 over under. And I'm like, hey, right over. Over's a winner. And the one guy goes, motherfucker, you just said you like the under. I went, what? Hold
Sharp
on.
man. He's
I said,
catching
hold
your
on.
own
I said,
shit.
hold on. I like under 205. I don't like under 130 because the sheet said 90 and a half seconds, which clearly, I mean, again, it's a Super Bowl fun prop packet. It's
Give
not.
me the max.
It's not Las Vegas. No, that's not. We weren't taking bets on it. It was just who's going to have the most right. But my buddy thought I was trying to scam him. He's like, you just told me you like the under. And I'm like, numbers matter, buddy. Numbers matter.
Your buddy's a smart guy. He's trying to.
I like
He's trying
the
to be
under.
contrarian, and I like that.
I like under 125. I do not like under 90.5.
Hey, I had I took an awful number there. I was just, sometimes you bet some stuff for fun. I think I got 120 and a half, and it was like 119.6. So you want to talk about efficiency? The national anthem market's getting pretty tough around here, Sam.
The rehearsal times are always dead on. He
Spot.
went 159, 159, 2 minutes, I think, in the rehearsal. And it landed right there.
Honestly, it surprised me how I don't keep up with this often, but like it surprised me the impeccability of being rehearsal. Yeah, it was within I think a quarter second because I looked at it after, and I was like, man, like you're good at your job if you can be within a quarter second of anything.
Oop, I muted myself, no doubt. I talked earlier during the show about how I like Gonzaga tonight. And we do have a question from the room from Corbie or from Rocco, excuse me. And you can say no, but Rocco, naturally on Chicken Dinner, Rocco asking if there's anything we should do in the Hawaii game at midnight.
Let me look real quick.
I will pull up the screen here. It is Long Beach at Hawaii, 8:43, 8:44. And
it's steamed.
11. Let's call it 11. Hawaii 11. Total's been bet up about a point. 130.
Yeah. Side was bet up too. I think it was 10.
It opened 10. It definitely opened 10.
Yeah, it would be Hawaii or nothing, but I wouldn't touch that. The big thing is like it would be an under. Did you say the total got bet up?
Yeah, opened 137 in the hook, and Superbook has 139. Chris has 138.5.
I would shade towards an under. Like every time I've watched Hawaii, I've been unimpressed with the transition offense. Long Beach, I haven't looked at Long Beach's numbers in a minute, but just from their overall talent standpoint, like they cannot shoot the 3-pointer to save their life. So I think the only way you're getting a running gun is if they. I honestly don't think there's many situations where there's a running gun. So we're leaning towards an under. I'm surprised you got bet over. The issue I would have is like, yeah, Long Beach 328. Shoot it 3 to okay clip, but like they're not like looking for a 3. It would be an under nothing. It looks like Ken Palm's 39. So if you think Ken Palm's the holy grail, then take some over 37s, and I would say that you're probably wrong in most of those cases.
My kind of audience, though, asking if we should make a move on the Hawaii game at midnight.
Yeah, I wanted to come in here and give you a second half. North Carolina A&T. I think I talked about this one of the last shows, but Landon Glasper and Ryan Forrest, who shoot basically 75% of that entire team's shots, are both suspended for apparent point shaving, and they're both transferring out. So that team has like actually nobody. I bet their team total unders like every single game. Today's the first one I didn't, and it looks like they're playing pretty good. So I came in here not giving an A&T, but I will say continue watching A&T, and I will say, Sammy, listen, I consider myself a savant at knowing if a team is throwing or not. It's a weird skill I have, and I can almost, I won't say 100% certainty. Let's call it 90th percentile certainty. Those kids were not throwing the basketball game. I think at this point, this is just the NCAA saying, like, okay, bad team plays bad, and first half line goes from X to Y. Okay, so the situation was North Carolina A&T first half line against Delaware moved from 2.5 to 4, and they were like, "That's suspicious activity." I've seen Ras move a first half and I watched the whole game because I'm a psychopath. I know what to look for if these kids are throwing. It's pretty obvious if you ever go back and watch games of kids throwing. They all do the same thing because it's just like in nature. You don't know how to throw a basketball game, and they weren't. I think Landon Glasper shot 23s in that game. Like he was not throwing, and poor kid. Like he's going to transfer. He's going to be a seventh man at some school that'll probably pay him $200K because he can shoot. But bad way to go out. I feel bad for him. Like imagine being the teammates knowing your boys didn't throw a game and they got suspended indefinitely for doing so. So feel bad. I think A&T is in quite the predicament, and I would fade them the rest of the year. The market is trying to catch up, but I just don't think you can catch up.
Anything else before we say goodbye?
It depends. We got college baseball. I bet some pretty decent liability on an MLB future. Do we want to talk about that?
What did you do?
It's the worst. It's the worst. All right, hear me out. BetMGM sponsors your day show, right?
Yes.
All right, you can go to BetMGM and you can bet two of these. Okay, the first one you can bet anywhere. Dodgers.
Hold on. Let me get in here. And see what I can do.
Oh, I got you. Okay, I'll cook the first one. It's not on MGM. I mean, it is, but you don't have to do it at MGM. The second two you do. One of them you might want to pass because I have some bias, but you'll hear it. Dodgers 3-1 to win the World Series. We listen. Who wants to put 6-month time horizon on a 3-1? No one ever. I understand. Well aware. The Dodgers were, I believe, 31-23 at their low last year, and the line was plus 280. It doesn't really matter how bad they do. You're never gonna get like you can't just wait this out and get like a 5-1. It's not gonna happen. This team, I don't know if anybody's been paying attention to the offseason. I would argue is going to be the best MLB team to ever play. But when I run my numbers, frankly, it's not close. The market for wins is 103 juice to the over. I had it at 109, Sammy. I don't know if you know how many. I don't know if you know how many wins is the MLB record, but we're pretty close there.
Isn't it like 116?
Yeah, the Babe Ruth.
I want to say no. It was the Seattle Mariners team. I thought.
Oh, I call it 110. I say there's like I think the Yankees crushed past 110, but I always just call it 110. If anybody gets 110, they deserve to be known as one of the best. But all right, here's my two fun ones though for you. The first one has bias, and anybody who watches any of my stuff ever knows. Tyler Glasnow is my single favorite player of any sport, maybe ever. Tyler Glasnow, Cy Young, 25-1. I think that he is a man. I think he's one of the most high IQ pitchers I've ever watched. Like every single thing that I see him throw, I'm like, man, that is just the ability to displace pitches over, make a batter think this is what's going to happen, and put it nail on head. 80 mile per hour up to 103. I think he is ungodly, and he's been hurt. He's been dealing with injuries. This is the first year that it seems like he's going to be full. So I took 25-1, and then Sammy, get your MG room ready because this is the one I don't understand it.
Ready.
Manager of the year.
They have that at MGM. I didn't see that.
If it's not up, and it popped for like a day. I was surprised I saw it up. You see it?
I'm looking. Go ahead.
If it's not, then oh well. But Dave Roberts, manager of the year, 20-1. Again, I think this Dodgers team could win 110 games. If a 110 win team's manager isn't manager of the year, I give up, Sam. I don't know what to tell you. I looked up teams who have won over 100 games, and it's basically like 7 of the last 10 have also won manager of the year in their division. I think this team wins 110. Like basically, I'm just playing any derivative of. I don't want to put all my liquidity in season wins and Glasnow futures and Dodgers futures. So how can I play it in the derivative market? And I think if the Dodgers have the upside, I think they do. Roberts has to win manager of the year. So 20-1, pretty fun grab there.
I do not have manager of the year, but I do have a prop like this that I can bet for some reason. I just lost it. Which Jackson will hit the most home runs?
Nice.
Churio, Merrill, or Holiday?
Merrill.
I have everything but manager. I've got reliever of the year. I
can't imagine
rookie of the year. I've got Cy Youngs, MVPs, all that shit.
Go to Cy Young and look what Glasnow's price is now. If Glasnow's way different juice, maybe they took down manager because of me, but I can't imagine
30.
That's worst number. I I took 25. So.
I think people are just scared he's going to get hurt, right?
Yeah. So my big thing there, and I can give my spiel, but we don't want to make it too long because I could talk about Glass all day. But basically,
I'm under review on Glass now.
Oh boy.
Yep, already. They're
They're
checking my bet.
Basically, Glasnow was at Tampa, and it's like pretty noted that Tampa mistreated his elbow injury. He had Tommy John surgery, came back, he still had the exact same issues. So he went through a pretty long injury process. At the Dodgers last year, he got hurt. It was inflammation of the elbow. The Dodgers said, "Hey, shut it down for the year. Like, we're going to be done." And Glasnow was so mad. You can pull up an article. Glasnow was so mad because he was like, "I promise you, I'm fine." But they're like, "Hey, we don't care. We're going to win the World Series without you. It's fine. Just go rest up." He got so mad he took all of this stuff out of his locker and didn't come back to the Dodgers for 3 weeks. He's just like, "Listen, fuck y'all. Like, if you're not going to let me play, I'm not staying here." He swore up and down he was fine. And who to trust more than the man himself? I'm going to trust it. Now you give him a longer offseason. You give him 4 arms. I mean, like this the 8th best pitcher in the Dodgers rotation is Clayton Kershaw. Like he might be the 9th, honestly. So like, what are we talking about here? Like, you could have Ohtani get hurt, Blake Snell get hurt, Yamamoto get hurt, Glasnow. Then you still have Dustin May. You still have Tony Gonsolin. Like it's ridiculous. I genuinely don't know how you would price a future near 3-1 with this team. I feel very fine with the Dodgers 3-1 there.
I actually had somebody on the show today who said that anything American League related, he was not betting World Series, he was betting pennant because he doesn't want to deal with the Dodgers. Like rather than take,
I believe it. Yeah,
the Red Sox to win the World Series, you take them to win the pennant instead because then you don't have to deal with the National League.
As crazy as it sounds, I fully agree. But and like that's another reason why Dodgers makes so much sense is like what happened to every other team? Like every other team. I mean, the only team in the top of the division would be the Yankees. They lost Soto. They brought some good pieces, but they inevitably, probably in that red calendar year, the Red Sox have cleaned it up. The Braves, like people are putting 8-1 in the Braves. I don't see that. Charlie Morton still pitches there, right? So I don't see that. I would say if you're taking AL, play pennants or just play the Dodgers, or you do say you want the Yankees, play Dodgers to beat the Yankees in the World Series. That has to be a crazy exacta price, huh? Instead of playing the pennant, play Dodgers beat Yankees.
I want to talk about one more thing, and then we're out of here. I sent you this. I did this the other day. I saw 2 numbers that I just thought were not right. And
forgot about this.
At the end of the day, like they're probably both going to lose, but I don't care. Like I thought this number was insane. The first one went right in half almost immediately. We were talking about it on the show, Joe and I said, look, I love this George Mason team. And I've been talking about this team for a couple of weeks now. I think they've won 10 games in a row in the Atlantic 10. And I was going through the list on the show, George Mason to make the Final Four. And they were throwing 500 to 1 at MGM. And I said, that's not right. So I tried to bet it. They actually took the bet. They took 50 to win 25,000. And then cut it in half almost right away. Now it's much lower at other places because people have clearly jumped into the pool with me. That one I'm not going to bang the drum on though because I don't think it's going to happen, but I don't think the number was right. Here's the one I want to talk to you about because I know that you've done your diligence on this team. I'm going to share their range on the screen if you're watching on YouTube and X. This team in mid-November was 14-1. And there is the range right now on Gonzaga to win the whole thing. 60-1 on top, 45-1 on the bottom. 60-60, 55-50, 50-45. Is now the time? Well, I know now it's the time to buy in. Are you willing to buy in as well on Gonzaga?
Yeah, I took some futures. I think I got 45, so I bought in a little too early, but I feel fine. There's a few things. First off, let me backtrack to George Mason a second. I know you can't get great numbers, but I do think if anybody finds like a good Final Four number, they're gonna have to do some things to even get in the tournament. But if they do, I actually did a write up on Twitter, Finding Cinderella Part 2. Part 2 is George Mason. I fully agree with you. I think this team is great. They need the right components of like playing decently slow teams, but I like that pick. My issue with with Gonzaga. I've been a Gonzaga fanboy, quote unquote, for years. I don't like this team, but I get stuck shilling them to the world because inevitably they do the right things with analytics. They have a great coach. They do all the things you need to do to win championships. And I think this team is the exact same this year. I would be buying Gonzaga. The only downside risk I think that Gonzaga has, and the reason that I don't think that they can win the championship this year, is they don't have Nembhard's great, but he just does not want to shoot the basketball. Like, I don't know what it is. The kid just will not shoot. He'll have 13 assists a game, but inevitably in March, like, what are the teams who don't do great all year and they make runs? It's always guys with good point guards. You have to have a guard who can score. And every time I've watched Gonzaga, I've just been like, their offensive sets are elite. Their defense is great when they try. Their half court, their transition game, coaching, everything is great, but I just don't see a superstar on that team. So that's my only worry with Gonzaga. I did bet 45-1. I would definitely bet 60-1 and put it in the portfolio. I wouldn't imagine that it wins, but it's a good piece. Like, if you've watched college basketball this year, you know there's a couple elites, but I don't
Sure.
think that there's anything that's just crazy that Gonzaga should be in the 60th percentile.
And they don't have to win the whole thing to make money on it. They make the Final Four. Now we're in business. We're holding, a 60-1 ticket with only 2 games to go.
And
it's math.
And a really good point is, like, not many teams get to face Gonzaga. The nature of the beast where they're at, they kind of control their own non-con. And this is a pretty tough scheme. Like if you've never seen Gonzaga with your own eyes, and now you have to go play them in the round of 32 after 2 days break, or you have to see them in the Sweet 16 after fighting your way through March, like, that's not an easy just grab. Like, we've seen a lot of teams struggle with Gonzaga. The teams who do well versus Gonzaga are like the St. Mary's, who see them every single year because they know the exact play sets. But I think they would have success in the fashion. Also, there's people who say Gonzaga is like always lose it in March or whatever. I mean, they've made it to the Sweet 16 for like 20 straight years. I think they've made it to the round of 32 for like 19 of the last 20 years, which is an unfeasible fate for a team who is as small as the University of Gonzaga. So shout out to them. 61, good price. I would agree with you there.
60 is insane.
Yeah.
Again, they're probably not winning the title, and George Mason probably isn't winning the Final Four, making the Final Four, but the math is the math. And I love that they are. I know Lenardi has them in the 8-9 right now, but if they win out and win the conference tournament, they're going to be a 7. Give me Tennessee. Give me a 2-7 Tennessee Gonzaga. I'll go nuts on Gonzaga. I'll bet them again in that game.
Sam, there's one matchup that I want to happen. I talked about this on a tweet, Find Cinderella Part 1. The sleeper, the Cinderella, George Mason, great one. I hope UC Irvine makes the tournament, because what would happen, and I feel pretty comfortable this would happen because they love to do this, the bracketology. It's kind of set these like intra-state, intra-city rivalries for those like worst games. So let's say you get a 12-3, is that right? Let's call it 12-3. 12-5, 13-4. That's what it would be. Irvine would be a 13, maybe UCLA cracks another 4. A UCLA versus Cal Irvine, little intra-city rivalry to start off the tournament. They, the odds makers love building that in bracketology. And I am telling you, Irvine would beat UCLA. Like, the scheme that Irvine plays, UCLA cannot guard defensively. So if you haven't watched Irvine, basically, I don't want to keep too long, but basically they start their offense at the other volleyball line. So like when everyone is just running down the court, they are like setting back slip screens as they cross half court. And UCLA is a very put your head down, get back in transition, turn around, play defense. And it will bite them in the ass. They have 4 kids who can shoot the 3. They have a 7-foot center who will shoot the 3. They're 3rd in the nation in free throw rate. Like, those slip screens in transition will put them in some hell. I'm telling you. The issue with Irvine is they have to play UC San Diego to make it to madness, and San Diego is a bucket getter themselves. So it's going to be tough to get it to March. But if they're a 13 seed, like, it wouldn't surprise me if it's one of those 13s that are like a 7-point dog, and you're like, that's kind of smelly there, and they beat UCLA outright.
All righty, that's Corbie Craig at Corbie BO. See you in 2 weeks.
Yes, sir. Enjoy your vacation. You deserve it, man.
Thanks, buddy. All right.
Send me pictures.
I will. There goes Corbie,
Cool.
our guy. Always in the mix here on Chicken Dinner. All right, we have gone on and on and on this Thursday night. Maybe I will miss all of you on the trip to Ireland for 9 days that begins early next week. Vacation is here. Spring break is upon us. Not really spring break, but it feels like spring break. And then back to Chicken Dinner in 2 weeks, back to Bet Sweats in 2 weeks. And I think you should bet a little piece of Gonzaga. I know people are down on them, but that's the time to strike. 60-1, 55-1. Just put a little bit on it. I think they can make a run. Now's the time. Now's the time to buy. So hope you enjoyed the Super Bowl. Hope you made some money. And if you were a part of the Barkley celebration last Thursday, cheers to you. Cheers to you. Cash some tickets, make some money. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks right here on Chicken Dinner.